let's be real, right? Arsenal have regressed, man. And I'll tell you
100%
why.
stagnated.
Yeah. The minute that window shut, I knew we weren't serious to win the league. The minute that window shut and we had Raheem Sterling coming in on deadline day as our big
And
main
Neto.
marquee signing, and Neto as the keeper. And I said when we signed Calafiori and Marino, it doesn't take us to the next level, but it just gives us more potential upgrades on the likes of Zinchenko at left back, and obviously El Neni being replaced by Marino is
Couple more bodies
an
out there,
upgrade,
might
right?
trust.
Facts. So then I look at the ownership and the board and think, have you done enough or have you shown a lack of ambition again? And it is the latter. They've shown a lack of ambition again. LB sitting there as a Man City fan going, oh, thank God for that. Arsenal aren't serious. That shouldn't be happening. LB should be thinking, oh my God, come on in, guys, like keep up because Arsenal are signing these XYZ. But he's not. He's sitting chilling, right? Then you look at the manager. The manager has definitely taken us back this season. If you look at what he has brought into the side now, there's some quality players, don't get me wrong. The problem we've got is, right, we have got and we have gone for tall, commanding players with a presence. And that is affecting us creativity.
NBA, like Marino said.
Yeah, so Odegaard's out at the moment. I get that. That is definitely a problem because he's one of our most creative players, right? But you look at the towering over in the tunnel and you think, yeah, that's good. But that has definitely gone a bit too far now because what that does, you definitely don't have the mobile or the mobility and the flair and the tenacity.
Or the guy.
You're looking at Saka and Martinelli, and that's kind of it. Because I've got Havertz, I've got Ben White, I've got Rice, I've got Kivior when he plays, we've got Gabriel, we've got Saliba, the absolute man mountains, and we get that, right? We get that. But right now, there's no creativity in that side whatsoever. And without Saka in the side, we're struggling. We're relying on set pieces, and we're actually getting to a stage where it's like everybody get in there. Marino get in there, you can head it. Gabriel, you can head it. Saliba, that should be a part of your game, not your game plan every game. Yeah, that should not be your game plan every single week. That just keep the ball, try and be resolute, and we will win a header and a set piece. And people didn't like it when they were saying Tony Pulis ball and set piece FC and all that. And I was thinking, yeah, that's not how I want to play, but they're kind of right. And I said, and I remember being on Strohs with yourself, Terry, LB, my channel, saying this won't continue. We'll be fine because we've got Leicester coming up, Bournemouth coming up, etc. It ain't going to continue, but it kind of has. This season, I can think of 45 minutes against PSG where we played well. Other than that, I walked off thinking, I'll take the result, but we need to improve here, man. I need to see much more creativity. Now, hopefully, there's some people that are saying Odegaard's back now, it's going to change. It ain't going to. You don't just slot Odegaard back in.
One player don't change our fortunes.
We're not a one-man team. We're not a one-man team. So why
what happens when he's off it?
Now he's back. What happens when he's off it? DG, what happens when he goes out? When, like I said,
exactly. We're back in square one. It's a basic way of looking at stuff, man. There should be creativity all over the side, man, really. And we haven't got that. We haven't got that. I think it's very naive if people expect, of course, Martin Odegaard back in the team, we're creating a lot more. But what happens when he has an off there, as you said? Again, what happens when he has the ball and he sees no third man runs or the whole team's behind him? You know, it's very simple just to expect one man coming back in and our fortunes change. Creativity should be a reflection of the manager. And for me, I'm not going to be naive. I'm sure he trains on it, but it seems like you've got a plan defensively. You've got some sort of plan in midfield. But once you get to that final third, which evidently wins you games and indirectly titles, we haven't figured it out beyond the set pieces.
Isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, and like you saw against Newcastle, if he's not on it, we're in trouble. Which is not sustainable.
You know, for me, so obviously you're Arsenal fans in it, so you're emotionally invested in it, right? So from the outside, when I looked at your transfer window, I kind of thought you went about it the wrong way, and I heard Turkish talking about it, saying that basically he thought Arsenal should have, instead of buying system players, like the Marinos, who's a system player, who's a squad role, you should have spent your money, maybe instead of buying 3 players or whatever, getting a big name. Getting you that guy that can push you across the line. You know when Fergie won his last title, right? What did he do? He went out and bought Robin van Persie. He didn't go out. He didn't go out and go, oh, you know what? I'll buy some, squad rotational player. No. He went out and went, I'll tell you what I need to do. I need to go out there and buy someone that's going to win me the league. And he went out there, and he bought Van Persie. City been trying for so long to win a Champions League. What did we do? Went out there, bought Haaland, won us the treble. Yeah, sometimes you look at your squad and go, your squad's decent. Do you need more of these system players?
We didn't sign any level raises. I think you're bang on the money. There's no level raises.
Buying players like Marino, Calafiori, even Sterling to a certain degree, whatever, they're all right to boost your squad. but are they going to take you to the next level? I don't think they are. And for me, you would be
we
better off.
When we get Champions League football, we're going to get world-class players. We haven't
but bro,
bought any
that is the
world-class
biggest
players.
myth ever. People this is something that the mainstream put out there all the time about, oh, you get this. No, you know, they get the money and they don't do
playing
that.
field level now. Champions League's obviously a sweetener, but it's
mate, as a United fan who's missed out on the Champions League a number of times in the last 11 years, when we haven't had Champions League, we have signed Zlatan and Pogba. Even this summer, we signed one of the best up-and-coming potential superstar centre-backs in the world, Euro, that Real Madrid wanted. Not only did we not have Champions League, at the beginning of this season, no one knew what direction we were going in. You can always sign. So when you're a club the size of Arsenal, size of Chelsea, size of City now, Liverpool, United, as long as you're prepared to pay the money, barring a handful of people, you can pretty much get who you want. Champions League helps.
Do you know what, Terry? Just quickly, do you know what, Terry?
Go on,
do you know what, Terry? Just quickly, because Arsenal, I'm totally in agreement with you, because Arsenal in the Europa League, they signed the likes of Lacazette, they signed Aubameyang, they signed Thomas Partey, we got Gabriel and Saliba. So it is an absolute myth. And this is what I was getting. I wasn't saying we should be getting world-class players because we're in the Champions League. This is what we're being told by this process. Once we're in the Champions League, we're going to sprinkle it with gold dust, is what the actual tolls they said. We're going to get this system, we're going to get this youth system in place, and then we're going to sprinkle it with gold dust. The only player that's come in to make us lift with this gold dust is Declan Rice. And he was at West Ham.
Yeah.
And it's quite obvious where Arsenal need to improve. Like, take nothing away from Kai Havertz. I can't ask any more from Kai. I think you're playing within your capabilities. I think you've been better than what I would have seen. But I just feel we do this weird thing. Like, we take players that will be good for the squad and we put them in position and boots they can't fill. Now, Havertz will probably get you double figures, but he's not going to get Haaland numbers. As much as I would love stars and world-class players and all of that, I just wanted some competencies. Now, I don't know football to them lot's level, but you could evidently see, go out and sign a versatile winger, primarily someone who could play on the left. You know, Martinelli has not been putting the balls in the back of the net. Considering we fought City for 2 league titles now, we could have done all of this and it might not have worked. We didn't. You didn't give the vibe that we really wanted it to be third time lucky. You haven't gone out and signed that striker. You haven't found someone that can lift the burden on Bukayo Saka. You haven't really, for me, I know it's easier said than done, but ain't found what I believe is the Santi Cazorla, the Cesc Fabregas kind of linchpin in midfield. I'm happy with, Moreno and Calafiori. I think they're good additions, but I don't feel our squad's stronger. I don't feel there was any level raises. And, this is kind of indirectly what we didn't do is why we find ourselves kind of in this mess, man.
You've also got the situation. Go on, Terry.
No. I've got the questions about that. You go first, mate. Go on.
All right. The thing that I was going to say, you've also found yourself in the very unique position, of outgrowing players that you've recently bought very, very quickly, right? So you bought the likes of Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. Now, you bought these when you wasn't in the Champions League, I'm right in saying, So these are players that can get you back into the top 4, right? But they're not players that can win you a league. Now, people say, well, they won you a league at Manchester City. Hey, ask Manchester City fans.
They were squad players, man.
Yeah, they I know.
That's where they should be if they're not going to
Zinchenko did play a lot, but he's playing left back. He's playing in a team that was at that point probably like everyone was playing in the peak, Like you've outgrown these players. So automatically now you need to get rid of Jesus. You need to get rid of Zinchenko. There's probably a couple more in there that you probably, because you've outgrown them. Now, I know some Arsenal fans will find that difficult to hear because we all get, emotionally attached to these players, right? But you need to accept that these players are not at the level that is required. Jesus, I said it when you signed him. He's not a striker anyway. Potsy, did I not say that to you when you signed him? I said, you've not bought a striker, mate. He's a winger anyway. Yeah, and he's not good enough for a team that's going for a league title. So you're going to have to this summer, whether you do it January, I don't think you will, but this summer, you need to have a look at that squad and say, right, we need to be ruthless here. Yeah, get rid of some of these players that are not at the level of Arsenal Football Club, which is a team that's trying to win the title. Get rid of them and bring in better players because you've outgrown them very quickly.
When it comes down to what you did in the summer, the players you're lacking, DG and Potts, who do you put this down to? You've
Everyone.
Just seen you said you've seen Edu leave, but is this a case of the Kroenkes not allowing more money to be spent? Is it a case of Edu maybe not having the contacts or not selling players for enough to raise it? Because everybody has to sell to buy to a certain degree. City are able to spend what they spend because they sell for a lot. Chelsea, yes, they've spent more than anyone else in the Prem. I think it's somewhere like 3.5 billion I read the other day. But they've sold about 1 point something billions worth of players. So they raise a lot through it. Or is it Arteta getting too much power and he's picked badly? Like, where do you kind of lie the blame for the poor summer and not being prepared, as you're kind of alluding to?
Everyone, as I've been saying, Terry, everyone has to take individual blame. This club sit here on you can go on their website, they say it's collaboration, we all make the decisions together. Mikel Arteta clearly gets his way. I'm pretty sure, even though Raya's worked out, when we wanted Raya at the time, Ramsdale was the number one, he was PFA nominated. I'm pretty sure in Arsenal's board, they sat there and said, are you sure you want to do this? He got that. Kai Havertz couldn't have been someone they universally agreed on. He got that. Declan Rice, 100 odd million, he got that. I personally believe where Arteta is guilty, I think there's an over-reliance on players and that can't really get us to the next level. The Cronkies have spent money. I'm by no means defending the Cronkies, but they've spent money. I feel in the last 3 years, including now, anything that's been achieved or not achieved has been because of Arteta and Edu. Now, obviously, Edu's recently departed. I personally feel in Edu's defense, to be fair with you, we don't necessarily see what he's doing. He could be suggesting players and Arteta is not taking him up on that. He could be incapable, whether it's the phone book, etc. Everyone has to take responsibility, man. Like we've been sitting here and saying, I know it's a very mundane way to look at it, but you do not sign a past it Raheem Sterling on deadline day if you're ambitious. Well, that tells me there was incompetence in the window. You do not fail to get a striker. You do not only just get Moreno, and kind of where we're on brand with the Gabriel Jesuses, the Zinchenkos, the Tomiyasus, they're okay for the squad, but they really ever fit. So everybody's got to take responsibility for me, man. I feel I like Arteta, even though I don't back you religiously. I feel when things go right, there's this reliance to just it's all Arteta. When it hasn't worked out, I think everyone wants to blame anyone but Mikel Arteta. And I can't blame the Cronkies if they actually sat there and said, you know what, you lot have spent money. Some of the signings have worked out. Some of them actually haven't. And we've spent a lot of money and not really done anything. And we've not moved them on. I can't blame the Cronkies if they said sell before you could buy. And now, again, not defending the Cronkies. They're not overly ambitious. They're not. Mikel Arteta isn't going to live or die by winning the title. So you kind of have to work within your means. And Mikel Arteta's got a lot of power, but as we know, it comes with great responsibility. So I don't know how Dan feels, but for me, everyone's got to take responsibility for this, man.